Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Now it has been a long time since we have done builds on this channel, so I'm pretty excited for this one. You might recognize this as the newly added oil rig in Nuclear Tech mod, and I have tried to make it functional by adding the Bingus powered fracking tower which sits in the very center of this build. Now this fracking tower will give us infinite amounts of crude oil and natural gas, and for now I'm just storing it in the tanks. In the future, these are gonna go in a refinery. Also, let me give you a quick tour. The lifts, they have been kinda made again, so there are no missing blocks. You can climb on top of them all the way up. Then the buildings, the small one and the big ones, have been also kinda remade. So the small building has controls for lights which look absolutely amazing during the night, and the big building now serves as kind of a living quarter. In the bottom you can sit down, you can have armors and stuff. The upper area is where the bunk beds and also where Diatlo-sama sits, and the balcony gives a cool view like this. And to go down, you can use the small building or the big building, and on the lower deck, we can access the fracking tower along with the what you call it, the fracking solution tanks, and a lot of crates with loots in them and kerosene barrels. You can go all the way down to these lower levels, which is like a maze here, and then also get into water. So yeah, with the helipad made, superhero landings are possible. So I hope you guys like this build, and mods are in the description. Without any further ado, let's get straight into it. Starting this video off from the outside of the oil rig, where I'm going to first remove some of the unnecessary blocks, like for example these lights that don't work, and also the pillars, the four main pillars of the entire oil rig, which are in a broken down state. So you will find a lot of missing steel deco blocks. The titanium blocks are missing. Also, in order to basically give it a more worn down look, there is this steel scaffoldings there. So I'm going to complete all four of the pillars in a symmetric fashion, and also get rid of the chains and the pipes for now. We will add them later on, but for now, just to make it look symmetric, yeah, I'm going to remove all of the unnecessary blocks, and the rain while making this was actually pretty awesome. Now, once all of the pillars are done, it is going to look something like this. Now it's time to move up from the pillars, where there is this pattern on every four side. I don't know what to call this pattern, but there is kinda like a circular pattern, four circular patterns on every side like this. So I'm going to remake, or basically get this pattern on all of the sides. Now it has been destroyed in different ways, like entire sections are missing, and then there are steel bars missing from them. So yeah, once you start remaking the pattern, it is going to look something like this. You can also add a steel scaffolding in the middle, but I ended up removing it. I added it before, but it didn't really look that good. So once it's done, it's going to look something like this. Now coming down here, we will connect all four of the pillars using the steel scaffolds like this, and the steel scaffolds will be in a hazard pattern, so yellow and black and yellow and black like this. And once all of the four pillars are connected in the following fashion, then we can basically start adding crates to these, so you can walk between these pillars. Now these crates will also have ladders, so you can use it to access the upper parts of the oil rig if you are down in the water. And here's the hazard pattern that I was talking about. Repeat this on all of the three remaining scaffolds, and then extending this by one and adding some ladders to get us up from the water to the steel grates. And with that done, it's gonna look something like this. Now, just for aesthetic purposes, I'm going to extend some chains on all of the four sides, and also add some pipes of different colors, like the gas pipes, the red steel pipe, on various levels of this entire bottom section of the oil rig. It's gonna give it a nice look, and now we can start adding back the visual pipes that we removed before, and also add some chains in the pillars that we have. It's gonna look good when you add them like this. Also adding powered halogen floodlights, and adding energy storage blocks behind them with a self-charging plutonium battery, which is enough to basically sustain these. And also receiver torches go on the back side. I was gonna add them below the storage blocks, but they are gonna go on the back side. And with that done, you can now close up so the energy storage block isn't that visible, and flicking the lever on will turn on all of the lights. Pretty cool. So for the next part of the build, let's move up to these orange sections that we have here, and the drill remains the same. Make it symmetric along all the four sides and repeat the pattern like this. So a completed pattern for the orange one looks something like this, and adding bars in the bottom section like this, leaving the top section open, and also adding small floodlights on the top, which are always going to remain on, and these look amazing. Now adding a railing around the entire rig, because the railing is broken in a lot of the parts, like here you can see, and also getting rid of so many explosive and kerosene barrels along with the oil spills on top of the oil rig, because this doesn't really give a very inspiring look to the rig. It's pretty dangerous. And repairing any broken parts, the major broken parts like here, using asbestos concrete, normal concrete, and the concrete bricks. So steel deco blocks where they are missing. And with that done, let's start working on the small structure, the small building that we have here. So for now, I'm going to repair the floors, the windows, the outer section like this, add some glass to all of the windows, and the IBM computer can go on the top along with some filing cabinets. And this building here will have a lever in order to turn the lights on and off. And on the top, add two small antenna towers, or basically two different size of antenna towers, one big and one small. And that successfully completes our small building. Now let's start work on the big building right here by first removing every broken brick that we have, which has been replaced by slab, and completing the outer structure, also removing the lights which don't work, and these cables and pipe, which for some reason the power gauge was connected to pipes, and completing the railing on the balcony like structure that we have here. Now on this first floor, this will be a sitting area along with some chest with loots, armor, food, and you can even add machines here. I'm going to add a hidden chest and area to sit down, some barrels with water and steam, because steam armor is the one we are going to use to protect ourselves from fire, and some item frames with these armors. And now repairing the stairs which go up, we come up to the second floor. This one will be the area to sleep. So adding some bunk beds here along with the table and an IBM computer once again. And finally the stairs to the top. And on the top here, you don't really need to change much as it's pretty much perfect. Just get rid of any unnecessary block if you want to make it look a bit tidy. Now let's remove this basically oil drill which has been made here, because we need to make room for the fracking tower which is gonna sit here. So tidying up the entire area, making it a bit symmetric in the way the blocks are placed, and getting rid of the entire drill. This will clear up the area, something like this. And now before we proceed further, let's clean up the giant cranes that we have. So adding reinforced glass so someone doesn't fall out of this, and also connecting any part which has been broken out, and adding grates on top so you can climb up and walk all the way to the top of the cranes, and also adding redstone torches for a nice touch. Now the big building that we had, it kind of overhangs, so I added some beams, some cantilever, to basically show that this building is supported. So this is how it looks like, and in the stairs which is in the big building, you can access the bottom part of the oil rig. Now I'm going to clean up this bottom part, and this was arguably the most tedious part because there is a lot of things which are going down here. There are barrels, broken down blocks, scaffolds, pipes, whatnot. So once this area has been cleaned up a little bit, then it should basically start looking something like this. Also gonna add some lights which will make it easier for us during the night, and gonna change the color of the stairs by basically using aluminum ladders so they kind of stick out. Now there are these four pillar-like structures which are pretty broken down, like the main pillars of the oil rig, and I'm going to extend these pillars all the way down to the lower section of the oil rig, and then I'm going to connect it to the body of the oil rig. So for the top and the bottom of these pillars, I'm going to use rebar reinforced concrete and gonna connect them using some concrete blocks and steel scaffolds, which will give us an interesting looking platform on the entire bottom section of the oil rig. And also basically complete these T-shaped structures or I-shaped structures in the bottom. And now we can make a grate like platform to climb up to the platform that we just made using concrete and the steel scaffolds. And using these pillars to climb all the way to the top, we have now successfully connected the lowest level of the oil rig to the topmost levels of the oil rig. Finally adding some more barrels and crates to complete this section, and it should look something like this. Pretty neat. Now before we place down the fracking tower, let's take care of the very last structure that we have, which is the helipad. So I'm going to make this helipad a bit bigger by extending it one block on every side and making it symmetric by replacing every block that has been broken, and also by reinforcing the entire beam structure which supports it by adding more slabs to it. Adding some grates on the side like this and some torches along with steel beams, and this is how the helipad is gonna look now. Finally, before placing the fracking tower, in the very middle, place down bedrock oil deposit, even a single one should work, and then we can place down the fracking tower. You have two choices here. First one, you can place down the fracking tower on the very surface of the oil rig. It's gonna look something like this, and I know this is the look many of you are going to prefer. However, if you place the fracking tower down on the bottom, then you're gonna have more space to walk on the top, and it's gonna look something like this. So this is the look that I'm going for in this video. However, you can go for the first configuration if you want to. So in order to place the fracking tower down here, we need to make some changes. For example, first we need to change the position of the ladders. As the pillar that we made, we need to shave off some blocks like this in order to make space for the fracking tower. Also, where the legs of the fracking tower are gonna be, I'm going to replace the grates down there with solid steel deco blocks, and then placing down the oil rig and removing, not the oil rig, the fracking tower, and removing the blocks obstructing it will give it access to the bedrock oil deposit. Also, from the small building that we had, I'm going to extend some ladders down here. So now we can access the bottom part of the oil rig using either the small building or the big building on the opposite ends. So that's pretty convenient. And now I'm going to make some space in order to place down a tank which will have our fracking solution. And this fracking solution will be connected to the fracking tower using the paintable fluid ducts. So you can basically make your base look good without sacrificing utility. And the natural gas that we are going to produce, it can be cracked into petroleum gas. And petroleum gas will be used to make what you call it, the fracking solution. So once we make the refinery, that is what I'm going to go for. However, for now, let's just store the crude oil and the natural gas in the tanks that we have. And by extending some pipes, first this one is going to be for natural gas like this, and the second pipe will be of course for crude oil. And make sure to add flow gauges so you can see the production rate at any time, though it is going to be constant. However, you can see it using flow gauges if you place them on the exact connection points like this. So breaking one block, placing down the flow gauge and connecting it to the tank like this. And in the configuration files, I have changed the production rate of natural gas. It is or basically it varies between 0 and 50. I have changed it to constant 50. So now the fracking tower will produce 100 millibuckets per second constantly of crude oil and 50 millibuckets per second of natural gas, which can be seen using the flow gauge pipes like this. And these are being stored in the top tank. And yeah, once modified and edited, everything down below is going to look something like this. So that is our main build complete for the oil rig. Now some of the changes that I made in this build was that I removed the solid blocks here and replaced them with 2 layers of grate, steel grate. So someone doesn't fall down and it looks kind of transparent, so it's cool. Also, I added the flare stack in order to get rid of excess natural gas that in case we produce. And flare stack, they look pretty cool on an oil rig. So yeah, that's the flare stack all operational. And finally, the whole build is gonna look something like this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, you learned something from it or found it helpful. If you did, do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Once this entire build is complete, I am going to give you guys the world download once I add a refinery to it. So yeah, till then, peace out and stay safe my dudes. I'll see you guys next time.